Hello, my crafty friends. Welcome to another episode of Angela Shows You. Today, I am going to show you how to make these adorable roll-up crayon holder carriers with the tie so that when they're rolled up, they tie into a nice, just little travel. Since I tried doing it so then this would tie up and then you have a nice little travel. And the great thing about these is they're washable and they are, pretty customizable. So I am going to give you what I'm using for a pattern that will hold 10 crayons. I'm sorry, 10 crayons, regular crayons. Now, what you're going to want to take into consideration a little bit with this project is if you are going to use the fat crayons, if you're going to use markers, if you're going to use colored pencils, then you are probably going to want a little bit of, alter this a little bit to fit whatever it is that you're making. If you're using colored pencils, they are taller than crayons are, so this may not work. Now you can see from the finished product, there's a kind of, there's room so that you just to give a little extra room, and so that the crayons aren't poking out the top either when it's rolled up. And I did the same with this one. You just want to leave a little bit of extra space at the top. So, all you probably really need to do to check the sizing that you think that you might want is grab one of the fat crayons or a marker or a colored pencil, and just, kind of lay it on the fabric to kind of get a little bit of an idea of what it is that you are going to want. So you need really basic supplies to make this, which is really nice. You only need a few small pieces of fabric, and of course, again, the height and the length. If you want 24, or 18 or 24, then of course you're going to want to make this longer. So this is for a pattern for 10 crayons. So you want 3 pieces of fabric that are going to be cut 14 to 15 inches. So the dump trucks I did in 14 inches. Minnie Mouse and the others I did in 15 inches, just because I wanted just that little bit of extra, that extra space. So 15 inches long, and I've got 7 inches in height. Okay, now the third piece that you're going to do is the same. It's 15 by 7. Then you're going to fold it in half. I gave it a nice press. Okay, so it's folded in half and pressed on the top. And then what I've already gone ahead and did is I just did a real small stitch. I didn't do it on Minnie, but I thought that a little stitch right here might just give that top piece where the crayon is going to slide in. It'll just give it a little bit more of a finished look. So I already went ahead and did that on this one. I did just a small stitch the length of it. Okay, and then the other thing that I already went ahead and did is you're going to want a piece of batting, interfacing, whatever you want to call it. So I had a bunch of cotton pieces left over, so I just did some cotton pieces. And I stitched it on, and this is going to be the outside piece. And you can, like I did that with the mini, but the thread really blends into the fabric. And I didn't draw the lines on this one. I used the polka dots as my guide. But if you're using something that doesn't have like the polka dots, and they were all uniform, so I just use those as my guide. But you know, you might want to just take a ruler and draw your straight lines, because I failed to do that on this one, and you can see I got a little haywire here and went a little bit, I didn't sew in a completely straight line, so that'll teach me for that. So in order to really get started with this, so that's kind of your setup. You need the 3 pieces of fabric. One of them you're going to fold over, and if you want, just a little stitch along the top, and then you're going to take that and you're going to line that up with whatever the inside piece being the crayon piece, the inside piece, you're going to line up that with the inside piece, and then we're going to want to just clip that in place. So now I'm going to actually bring you down here to my workspace. Okay, so we've got our fabric, and I've got the raw edges of the crayon, the holder, lined up with the raw edge of the inside piece, Okay. So what we're going to want to do here is I'm going to just give this a couple pins so that it doesn't move on me. And we're going to take this to the machine. And I want to just give this a stitch pretty close to the edge. And I'm just going to do it on each end. And this is just to hold everything in place, because what we're going to be doing is I don't want the crayon holder part, this to move, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew our little slots for the crayons. So I don't want this to move at all. So I just wanted to just do a little stitch here to hold this in place, because I don't always trust the pins either. So what I did, and again, you're going to really want to know if you're using something fatter than a regular, a standard crayon, you may want to alter this measurement as well a little bit. But what I did was I gave myself a 1/4 inch from the end, and I just gave a mark, because when we're getting closer to finish, I'm going to use that 1/4 inch there is going to be my where I'm going to sew this together. So I made a 1/4 inch mark on this fabric, and then from there I just used my ruler and I did 1 1/4 inches, and I drew lines, and I used this. Now let me ask you, my friends, I am not a fan of this disappearing ink pen. Do you have a brand that you like? And if you do, please leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what disappearing ink pen you like. This one, even brand new, It just doesn't make very, I mean, I don't know if you can see it on this, but I really had to like go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to get lines that I could see. And you feel like that's a waste. So what I did from the quarter is I just made a line every 1 1/4 all the way to the end, and then I just then went back and drew them all the way down the length of. So now that all that prep stuff is done, so the rest of this we'll do together like we often do in my videos. We're going to just start at the top of here, and we're going to just sew. And I definitely on these do like to do a couple back stitches, because you got to remember, there's going to be a lot of activity as the crayons are being taken in and out. So I really want to reinforce reinforce those areas. Couple more. Okay, we have 2 more, and then we're all done with this step. Whoops. Okay, last one. Okay, so now we've made all of our little slots for the crayons. Okay, so now I'm gonna just go ahead and take the pins out after I stabbed my finger like 4 times. Okay, then what we're going to do is, all done with that pen, we're going to take our outer piece, and we're going to just kind of sandwich it right sides together. And I do actually have a little bit of extra on the one end. I think I'm going to just trim. I'm going to trim this end here because somehow I'd have a little extra. I'm not really sure how that happened. So let's just trim this so that it is even. Okay, there we go. Now, the other thing that we're going to want to do on here is we need a ribbon that we're going to put in here, our tie. We need our ribbon for our tie. And you're going to want your ribbon to be about 26 to 28 inches. Okay, so I've got a whole bunch here. So I think on this one with the paw prints, I have. So let's see here. Oh, I do think that there's enough purple there. And what I just do is I just take it and I just go once, fold it back over, hold it at the other end 2 times. I don't measure it, is what I'm getting at. I just take it, make sure that I have enough to go across once and back. And then that's it. And I'm glad I had the purple. I didn't think I had purple, so that was good. All right. Okay. So then the next thing that we're going to want to do is back down to the workspace here. We're going to take our ribbon and I'm just going to take the 2 ends and put them together. Okay, and then I've got this end here. You can leave this together just like this, and I'm going to take on one of the ends and I'm just going to go ahead and insert that at about the halfway mark. Okay, and I'm going to just clip it for right this second into place. Okay. And I just want to put those in there. Okay. There we go. And then see, we've got our ribbon and it's poking out the end just a little bit. And I'm just going to put the clip there and hold that into place. And then we are going to stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the side. We want to leave a gap in the middle at the top to turn this right side out. So we're going to start and we're going to sew along the top, along the side, the bottom, the top, and then back along, or this other side, back along the top. So I probably think I'm going to use my clips, and this is an opening, and in case you're wondering, this opening will make it, this is 5-inch opening, okay? From the end of this clip to the beginning of this clip is 5 inches. So we'll leave that as our opening. And so what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to stitch along the top, along the side, the bottom, the other side, and back over till we get to the end here. And I'm going to just use our standard 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I am going to back stitch a hair. Okay. Now, when I get to the ribbon or the string or whatever it is that you're using for the tie, I am going to stitch. I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to stitch again and really reinforce that, because you got to think, you know, these are going to be pulled on quite a bit. So we do want to really reinforce that so that it doesn't pull out as assuming the child is tying and untying this to get to their crayons. Okay. So now we've got our stitch all the way around. We are going to just clip these corners and reduce that bulk in the corners so that they poke out nice and square, making sure to not clip your stitches. All right, and then I always do just like to take a look on the other side and make sure that everything caught. And I like to do that because somehow when I did the Minnie Mouse one, I stitched it on this side and the fabric somehow folded over. So we're all good here. So we're going to turn it right side out. Now I have a point turner that I do like to use on this. So I'm going to just go ahead and carefully poke out the corners. The top pokes out a lot easier because there's not, you know, there's a layer less of fabric than there is okay. So then the only other steps to do on this is going to be, I do actually like to take this to the iron and give it a press. We just want to fold in your opening. So I'll fold that in and then take the outer piece and go ahead and And if you want to clip that, you can. So then our next step after we iron it and get it all nice and pressed, which we can do together real quick. There we go. It originally, that exterior piece didn't stay in there. Okay, so now I just got that pressed. So then all that's left is to do a top stitch around the edge of that. I don't think that, I don't think we really need to do that. We're just going to top stitch all the way around all four corners. That is going to serve as a couple things. It finishes it off, and of course closes your turn gap. And then all that will be left needed to do is to put the crayons in there, and then the project is done. And we've got a crayon holder that will roll up. Just like that. Tie it. Just like that. And see, it's nice because, the crayons aren't right at the edge of the fabric. So should they, if they slide a little bit, they're not going to fall out because they've got lots of room. They've got a couple inches to just as, a little like buffer, so to speak. So that's that. Like I said, this is cute. It's great for the car. Even if, going out to dinner, so many things, a little, coloring book or a notepad, and, you've got a happy camper with some crayons to keep them occupied. And then the only thing, like just look, on here I've got a couple little threads. So I'll just make sure that I got any threads that need to be clipped. But that's that. I'm going to top stitch this and put some crayons in there, and then this one will be done. So I hope that you liked this. Like I said at the beginning, if you're going to use this for pencils or the thicker, the fatter crayons, or markers, I don't know why I can't think of the word today, markers. You may want to just adjust the height of this a little bit and make it a little bit taller, depending on, how tall the other crayons or the markers or the colored pencils are. You may just want this to be a little bit taller. And then if you want this to hold more than 10, then I would say, go ahead and make this longer than 15 inches. So I would say, you could probably take a piece of fabric and however many you want to, if you want 18, line them up and just see, kind of see how much fabric do I need to do 18 or 24 or however many you want this to hold. I'm doing this for 10. You know, my target audience for these are going to be smaller kids who, you know, usually get an 8-pack of crayons anyway. And I'm just inserting 10 crayons into these, and that's how I'm planning on doing these. So, you know, however you want to customize the length and the height, but, you know, hopefully this gives you kind of the general gist of how to make the roll up travel crayon carrier. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you make it and what you thought. I think that it's super easy. They don't take a lot of time at all. That's another really nice thing about these is you could do them as gifts and, you know, scrap fabrics, and they don't take a whole lot of time, and they're fun for anybody, really. So, all right, well, that's all for today. Please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to Angela Shows You, and I'll see you next time. Bye.